Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Celtics Talk Radio live post-game chat with Igor and Igor Mitic and Daniel Camacho. You can find our work at, of course, blogtalkradio.com, our radio shows on demand. Also, we have 200 regular episodes and 67 special episodes. And this live video chat is recap of the game number 4, round 1, between number 2 Boston Celtics Eastern Conference and number 7 Eastern Conference Milwaukee Bucks. Number 7 Milwaukee Bucks in game number 4 defeated number 2 Boston Celtics 104-102 with the tip in from Giannis Antetokounmpo. 5 seconds until the end of the game. And later, in the last action, Mook Morris was iso-mooking Chris Middleton, and his shoot from the baseline jumper just rimmed out. Later, after that play, it seems like Malcolm Brogdon or Thon Maker actually fouled Al Horford in attempt to, tips it in and to, make the game tied. But Ed Malloy, the official, just looked at the replay and he didn't whistle the foul. We will talk about that later. I just want to say, log at blogtalkradio.com. You will find all our radio shows. It's 267 shows accumulative based, the Celtics shows. Plus, we have 30 live game chats if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us at Facebook Celtics Talk Radio, Instagram Celtics Talk Radio, Twitter Celtics Talk Radio, and listen to our audio shows at iTunes and Apple. We have iTunes page too. Anyway, we have informations for you that for tomorrow's game that is on program 7 p.m. Eastern in Boston. Injury report: John Kenson Bucks is probably out again. From the Celtics, Gordon Hayward out, left ankle rehab. Kyrie Irving out, left knee surgery. Marcus Smart thumb surgery, right thumb surgery, is questionable. And Daniel Theis left knee surgery out. So Hayward, Irving, Theis season over, as we know, and Smart is questionable. When we talk about the Smart is flying, I hope early in the morning, Tuesday, to New York, to his doctor to get the clearance that he's able to play. We will hear injury reports soon about Marcus Smart in this show. So, if he gets the green light from his doctor in New York that he can play, he can maybe return until 7 p.m. Eastern. Why not? It's not likely, but it's possible. And if he returns in time to Game 7, maybe he will play. So don't be surprised if he's in the lineup tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. But he will certainly play 90% in the Game 6 in Milwaukee Thursday. So, Daniel, what do you say about the game number 4 tough loss? I'm going to say 34 points career night, Jaylen Brown. I think that he had like 8 rebounds and a couple of assists. 27 points, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Aaron Baines, 9 points, 11 rebounds, excellent game. And, multiple players, Bucks, 7 rebounds. Terry Rozier, 8 assists, but not good game from Terry Rozier. And, we will talk about that later. So, Daniel, again, the series is tied now. What I hate in the Celtics world, everybody's saying, oh yeah, we lost. It's nothing. Like, we play good. We can be happy with the game. Maybe I'm minority here, but I'm extremely not happy with the way we lost, and we are good, We are exactly at the point where you and me said in the show we will be, because we had prognosis Celtics in 6 and 7, right? So you and me didn't expect, as some dumb Celtics fans, that the Celtics can sweep Giannis Antetokounmpo, Malcolm Brogdon, Middleton, and the guys, right? Because that team maybe has right now better talent without Smart than us. So we didn't expect Celtics to sweep Milwaukee, and we expected. Personally, I expected 2-2 after 4 games. This series is reminding me of last year's Washington Wizards and Boston Celtics series. We played 11 games in the playoffs and regular season. No single road team won. 11 wins for the home teams. And we won the Game 7 in Boston thanks to the great Kelly Olynyk. This series is reminding me of the last year's series. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we will win tomorrow and Game 6 Smart return and we win and the series is over. What do you say?
Well, like you said, I don't think, anybody really expected us to simply walk over these guys, knowing that we're missing
Except
so many.
idiots.
Exactly. Knowing that we're missing so many players, Milwaukee did not get into the, playoffs by, mistake. This team, has one of the top players in the league overall in Giannis Antetokounmpo.
MVP candidate.
Yeah, exactly. An MVP caliber player. This kid's going to be one of the top, 5 players in the league at some point, once we see guys like LeBron James and all these other, big name guys that are dominating the league right now finally move out of the way in this situation. You got a really great player in Middleton who complements what Antetokounmpo is all about. And they got a lot of really good shooters. Of course, when you're talking about why we felt the Boston Celtics had the best opportunity to basically win this series, we were looking at the fact that Brad Stevens was the better coach of the 2 coaches in this series, and that ultimately it was going to come down to which coach would be able to use the mismatches to their team's advantages, and the fact that Milwaukee is still a young team. Neither one of these teams really has, a dominant veteran type, presence, other than maybe you can say Horford in this case, who is probably you can say maybe Jason Terry, but Jason Terry doesn't get much playing time for the Milwaukee Bucks. Horford is basically the more dominant, veteran presence in this series who gets majority of playing time for his team. So
he's right now the Celtics' best player, only All-Star and the team available.
Exactly, so we felt that would be the main reason why this team was going to come into play, because you were looking at a Milwaukee team that was going to make mistakes, and through games 1 and 2, it was exactly what we said would happen. The Milwaukee Bucks,
inconsistent team, young team, right?
Exactly, it was kind of a replay. If everybody looks at this, you can kind of look at it as a replay of what we saw back in 07-08 when the Boston Celtics got Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce, and they went at it with the Atlanta Hawks in round 1. In round 1, the Atlanta Hawks against us in games 1 and 2, they were a young team going up against a team that was more, of a veteran type team, had bigger, better veterans overall, and, better talent than they did in this situation. And the younger team in this situation made a lot of mistakes, a lot of turnovers, things like that. And the Boston Celtics ended up walking away with 2 victories at home in this situation. Yet when they went, on the road, it was the younger team that used the energy of the crowd and used a faster-paced game to win 2 games at home to take the series back to Boston, tied at a 2-2 series. So, you think about it, we're kind of seeing a similar type, situation taking place in this series right now. The only difference is that technically we're not looking at a Boston Celtics team that has, Hall of Famer type players on it. The 2 teams are a little bit closer in age in this case, but the roles have basically not reversed in terms of the Boston Celtics being the team that has the more veteran players, while the Milwaukee Bucks have the more younger talent in this case, and they're the ones that basically were messing up a lot in Boston, but when they went home, they ended up basically taking over and managing to get back into the series. So now you got to come back to Boston. You got to get back, to what you were doing. Guys that basically were messing up in Milwaukee, guys like, Terry Rozier, for example, Marcus Morris, guys that looked like they were completely lost in Milwaukee, have to find their game that they completely left here in the Boston Celtics locker room. You got to find wherever you hid it, pretty much wherever you put the suitcase and locked it away for the last 4 or 5 days. You got to find it and put it back in your body and go ahead and make sure you win Game 5 now in this situation, because you do not want to go back to Milwaukee down 3-2, because as of right now, I don't have much confidence that this team is going to win Game 6 in Milwaukee with the way that those those Milwaukee players were playing in Games 3 and 4.
And I mean, I was arguing with the Celtics fans at my profile, and I said, quote, that Game 5 is pivotal game. For the Celtics, it's do or die game. And the fans attacked me, we still have Game 7 in Boston. And I said, guys, if you lose Game 5, there will be no Game 7. The Bucks will finish the series in 6. At this point, it's all analysis can be subtracted to the energy. Okay, the Bucks team in Boston is not the same Bucks team in Milwaukee. Okay, and sadly, the Celtics team in Boston is not the same Celtics team in Milwaukee. The Bucks at home, they are feeding off energy of the crowd. Okay, their guys are fueling and interacting, especially their bench. Their starters are playing good in Boston too, but especially the bench, which is the key statistics. And I will repeat, Giannis Antetokounmpo technically won the game, but who won the first game? The previous game, number 3, the Bucks bench. I talked that with Bobby Krivitsky, and who won tonight's game? Last night's game, number 4, the Bucks bench. The Bucks bench has been the difference maker. And I'm not going to joke tone maker, difference maker. I mean, tone maker, Malcolm Brogdon, Jabari Parker. Those guys from the bench, they are the difference. Plus 16, the Bucks bench this game 4, plus 16, the Bucks bench number 4. The first 2 games, Celtics bench plus 11, plus 16. So, what is the key? Bench points. Bench points. The bench battle is decisive, and like I said, the energy is not the same in Milwaukee, and I guarantee you, the question is now, one of the questions, that's exactly my point for the end, but since we touched that, the question is, can the Bucks players translate the energy from Milwaukee to Boston? I really doubt that, because they didn't do the whole year, If they do it in the Game 5, we can only set, cap off to them. But they didn't do it the whole year. They didn't play the same way in Milwaukee. They are bad road team. Okay? And Boston Celtics, without their leading stars, it's obviously, and without Marcus Smart, we saw him last night, doing the coaching job at the sidelines. Boston Celtics is not the same team. The young players, especially Rozier and the bench, they are not the same in Boston compared to Milwaukee. So that is the key thing, the energy. If Boston Celtics enter the game the same energy like games 1 and 2, they will win. If Bucks bench translate the confidence and the energy from the games number 3 and 4, then Bucks bench will win the battle and the Bucks will win, you know. And we can say that right now, in my opinion, despite the Bucks announcers are saying and Bucks analysts that the Bucks have more talent than the Celtics. I disagree. The talent level is even right now. The both teams have one All-Star. I'm not sure Middleton is not All-Star. So the both teams have one All-Star, couple of youngsters that can be potential All-Stars. But what can be the factor X in the series that you and I are hoping, Danny? Marcus Smart and his return. That can put the series, that can put the series in our favor, I think. And I think that I cannot wait to see the Marcus Smart return. What do you say?
Well, you're right. Marcus Smart returning will make it where, it will kind of shift. Right now, the Milwaukee Bucks have the advantage. Everything right now is in their favor. They're the ones with the momentum because of the fact that they've won 2 straight, coming back to Boston. But people seem to forget that there's a possibility that Marcus Smart can return, and Marcus Smart, his the thing that has gotten him to this point in his career where he could be making some big time money. Possibly, he may not get like a max contract that he's banking on, but the thing that can get him some big time, decent cash, it's not his shooting, it's his defense in this case.
Yeah.
There are many players out there in the league that it's been their defense that has been their calling card that has gotten players to basically want to go to them. And you look around the league, there's plenty of players that go out there that you can say, I'll go to you. I'll give you, a max contract because of the fact that you can score me 30, 40, 50 points a game. Come on. You can name many of them. Curry, Durant, Davis, LeBron, the list goes on and on. But there's not many players in the league right now that can defend the way this guy does. Ask LeBron, ask James Harden, ask Steph Curry, ask any of those big name, players we have in this league right now. They may think technically, I could take him, but each and every one of them does have to admit at some point Marcus Smart has gotten into their head at some point and caused them to make some sort of a mistake when it mattered most. Guys like Marcus Smart, Lance Stevenson, those type of guys, they pester you into making mistakes in this situation. A key example of that is when he made James Harden commit those 2 offensive fouls late in the game earlier this season that allowed Boston to steal that game from Houston. That is something that is going to come in handy in this series late if we go to Game 6, or should I say go to Game 7, because of the fact that there's nobody on this team right now that can stop Middleton. You got someone like Baines and Horford, Monroe. Those guys combined can try to stop Antetokounmpo and limit him to where he's not going off for more than he's been making. Because trust me, if we were a team like Miami, Antetokounmpo would be dominating us to more than what he's already getting. The Miami Heat only have one decent big man, and that's Whiteside in this situation. But because we have Baines and Horford who are, decent defenders, Antetokounmpo really isn't getting much unless he gets a wide open layup, a wide open, dunk, something like that, or the officials are bailing him out, sending him to the free throw line. That's really it. Our guys are trying to keep him out to make him shoot the threes and shoot the jumpers, and when he's been doing that, he's been missing. Marcus Smart is the only one, I think, Igor, that has a chance to actually put Middleton in a position where Middleton is going to have to really fight to get his shots in. Think he's done it to Harden. Like I said, he's done it to Curry and all these other big-name players.
Yeah.
What makes people think that Marcus Smart coming back, knowing he's been sitting on the bench and watching these games closely, what makes you think he's not going to be able to do it basically against Middleton? Knowing Middleton is not a superstar player, he's not going to get no superstar calls the way Antetokounmpo has been getting it. Marcus Smart does get some respect from these officials and will get it against Middleton. That, in my opinion, will be a key. And the fact that he can return in Game 6, who knows? The fact, with the news we got, coming up in a little while with the injury report, who knows what could end up happening for Game 5. But in Game 6, the fact that right now he's eyeing that, if he does come back in Game 6, if we win Game 5, I think we have a shot to end it in Game 6 because I think he will shut down Middleton in this situation. If he can't come back to Game 6 and it comes back where he comes back in Game 7, we end it there. But we will not lose this series if Marcus Smart returns.
I totally agree with you. And that is our Factor X, and that is our, the Joker. Ace from the sleeves. And by the way, you mentioned something interesting, and we will talk about that a little later when we break down the game and analyze the game in details. You mentioned that we thought that Stevens is advantage for the Celtics in this series. But we must admit that I told you so at least. In the games 3 and 4, Joe Printy outcoached Stevens 80% of the time in games 3 and 4. Because playoffs is all about adjustments, and Joe Printy, with his with his coaches, assistant coaches, he made adjustments that worked. The Stevens made the late adjustment in game 4. I don't know why he took so time to do it. And I told you, I don't know if there was the miscommunication between the Stevens and his staff and the players. I don't know if the Stevens actually set the game plan for the game 4 first 30 minutes, okay? I don't know if the Stevens told the guys, okay, play this way, and the Celtics played the other way. The one thing made me think this way because I listened to the his timeouts when the Bucks were leading 16 and 20 points advantage the last night. Stevens said, quote, "We were good in the first 6 minutes until we lost our minds." So that is telling me that maybe the players didn't listen and execute the way Stevens wanted. Or Stevens didn't do anything in the game 4. He was hoping that the game 3 was fluke. And then he tried to make the late adjustments that I'm going to talk a little later in game 4, when it's about the second unit and guarding Thon Maker and Malcolm Brogdon and Jabari Parker. He did it, it worked, but it was too late. So, Brad Stevens got out coached in the games 3 and 4. And I really hope that he has time to sit, to watch the film with his staff and analyze it better than us here. And I hope that he can make the proper adjustments for the game number 5, tomorrow 17 is in Boston, okay? Let us talk about Marcus Smart. Again, like we said, Danny, we are getting confirmation what we said about the Smart from Jay King, our friend, that was our guest a couple of shows ago, the regular season recap. So, our friend Jay King, alongside Adam Kaufman from CLNS Celtics Beat, they said, quote, "The Smart is listed questionable, so there is a hope that he can get clearance tomorrow early in the morning, and then he can fly back to Boston on the time for Game 7. That's what I post in our page, We Bleed Green. So again, Marcus Smart injury update. Boston Celtics guard hopes to return for potential games 5 even, and for sure for game 6 and 7. Before the game 4, he said, reporter, that right now that's the plan, game 6, and we are on the track. I have been doing everything but contact. I will be able to go start contact if I'm get the clearance Tuesday. I could go in game 6 if I get clearance, and okay, Tuesday, Smart said. So injury time was April 11th in the game against Indiana. I think that we lost in Boston, and he had surgery to repair the tendon shortly afterwards. The previous time frame was April 27, but he was good. He's good to go, and it's obvious that he can even play in game 5 tomorrow. The surgery did its job. Thumb is holding well. I feel ready. I feel strongly enough to get back to the track. So I'm just waiting to see if that is okay. So Smart's return could be the difference maker because he's defensive-minded guy, and Milwaukee shooting absurd percentage from the field, especially Middleton making 63% three-pointers and from the field, which is absurd. Middleton is not that good. Smart, who defends shooters well and bodies thinner guards out of their comfort zone, would likely throw many assignments on stopping Middleton. On Saturday, Stevens told reporters Smart still hasn't been able to practice with the contact. Smart was coaching the last night, and he said that he feels comfortable, and especially in the shooting hand, we saw him shooting throughout the last 3 games. So then again, it's possible that the Smart can fly tomorrow early. He is the famous person. He can get, I hope, he can be the first in the line to his doctor, and so that he can return before 7 p.m. Eastern to play. You know, the possibility for game 5 is slim, but there is a chance, right?
Yeah, again, I'm somebody who was born in New York. I live in 40 minutes west of Boston, technically. So you got to come through my city, technically, in order to get to New York from Boston. And, you know, we're only less than 4 hours, technically, depending on how you drive, of course. And a few other things, the traffic, all that other stuff. You know, so Marcus Smart could easily get from Boston to New York and then back to, you know, Boston in plenty of time for the game in this situation if he really wanted to, and if the team really wanted to in this situation, in order for him to play tomorrow. And like I said earlier, you know, he's not going to start. It's not like he's going to be basically taking the role over Terry Rozier or Brown or, you know, Tatum. Yeah. So he's not going to be playing major minutes in this situation in a first game return. You know, he's going to be coming off the bench. And again, he is not going to be doing something where he's taking a shooting role and he's trying to score you, you know, a bunch of major, you know, minutes, or should I say points. He's basically going to be looking to basically be a defensive pest like he always is, you know. So there's a major possibility. The moment you see them putting him a questionable, which means a 50-50 chance you're going to play in this case, that means in all likelihood, in my opinion, that it's going to end up happening. The only way, in my opinion, Igor, that does not happen tomorrow is if the doctor ends up saying that, no, you're not ready in this situation, you know, or Danny Ainge and them step in and say, we're better safe than sorry, we'll wait until Game 6 and have you go in there in this case. That's probably the only way I see that happening. Other than that, if the doctor says he's cleared, in my opinion, and Danny Ainge and them are comfortable, he goes in tomorrow. Because Marcus Smart, you know, I've seen him. You know, he did an interview with Abby Chin just before Game 5 the other day here on the local news station, and you could see that boy. He is desperate to get onto the court, and he was talking about, you know, the type of equipment he's going to have on his hand in this situation in order to actually play. So it's not like he's actually going to have his hand free while he's playing. He is going to have something on it in order to actually play. So it's kind of going to be like how Embiid has to be wearing the mask. Smart's going to have something, but if the doctor doesn't stop him tomorrow, in my opinion, as long as Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens are comfortable, he is going to be on the court tomorrow. That's so that's it. In my opinion, it's going to happen, Igor. So this is really good news that they've updated him to questionable, because if he plays tomorrow, you're going to see him on Middleton, and if he stops Middleton tomorrow, that means this series is over in Game 6, because I think that means we'll win tomorrow. The fans are going to be energetic in the TD Garden tomorrow from his return. The team is going to be energetic and giving a kick in the rear end by him returning in this situation. And in my opinion, this might also get people to start wondering, were we wrong to start actually overlooking the Boston Celtics and start thinking about Philly being the team that actually walks out of this bracket to go to the Eastern Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals? That would be another thing we might have to start thinking about if Marcus Smart is able to return starting tomorrow night.
Okay, let us just add Boston Celtics injuries. Daniel Theis said he can put 75% of the body weight on his recovering knee. The big man, Daniel Theis, says he is recovering steadily from the torn meniscus in the left knee that ended the season in March. And he said that the procedure was delayed 4 days due to the snowstorm. After that, he was participated for 3 weeks. A reminder that injuries takes no emotional toll as well as physical one. The most important thing is patience, Theis wrote. Unfortunately, I don't have any patience. Theis also said he has progressed to the upper body weight lifting conditioning, and he can put 75% of his body weight on his injured knee. He's down to 1 crunch, and he can drive himself around, which is improvement. He wrote that his family and wife were forced to draw him from places to place. Theis' contract is not guaranteed the next season, 1.3 million, but the Celtics almost certainly will exercise 1.3 million and bring him back. A valuable third pick, Theis contained pick and rolls with the quickness and versatility, and he can show potential to be the rim protector. Offensively, he stretched the floor to 3-point line out of pick and pop sets and roll hard to the basket. Presumably Theis, like Hayward and Irving, will be back for the training camp for the Celtics team revenge by injuries. That will be the big boost. So that's it from this episode's injury report. Again, Hayward, Smart, and Irving all out. The Smart can even appear tomorrow. He's listed as questionable, which is the good news. Daniel, let's skip to the game analysis. So the last night, like I said, we lost 104-102 with the late game bucket and practically tips. Giannis Antetokounmpo tipped the ball in his offensive rebound, which is a paradox because in 47 minutes Bucks had about 1 offensive rebound, and the Celtics were rushing the boards, and the Celtics lost by offensive rebound. They were not able to clean the glass in that last possession, which is, like I said, the game paradox, and that is a valuable lesson to our fans that has been crying at our page, Danny, like crush the glass, crush the glass, crush the glass. Second chance points, points. Points in the paint. Well, we got 17-4 in the second chance points. We crushed the glass and we lost. So that is usually in today's NBA not a decisive factor. We had 7 lead changes. Largest lead of the Celtics was 7 in the first quarter. The largest lead for the Bucks were 20. In the third quarter, Fast break points, Milwaukee Bucks +6. Points in the paint, Milwaukee Bucks +12. 46-34. So Milwaukee Bucks +12, we get used to it because they got Giannis Antetokounmpo, his dominant force in the paint. They are using him in 4 and even 5 in the small ball sets. The bench points, 15 bench points, the Celtics, and the Bucks, let me see, 31, the +16. This is the key statistic here. So then it practically, our starters outscored the Bucks starters +14. But our bench lost to the Bucks bench +16. And that is the difference, okay? The second chance points, 17 for Celtics +13. That advantage in the second chance points have been totally neutralized by the points in the paint and fast break. So the Celtics +13 in the second chance points and the Bucks +12 in the Bucks +12 in the points in the paint and the Bucks +6 in fast break points. So we know that Bucks were feeding off points in the paint and fast break points of the turnovers. So, the Bucks had advantage when we combine fast break points and points in the paint. The Bucks have advantage +18. And the Celtics had advantage on the glass, second chance points, +13. So accumulative, when we sum up that, the Bucks overall had advantage +5 in those elements. The Celtics shooted 41.4% from the field, 34.5% 3 points. This is average. This is not good, but average. This is not bad, but this is average. This is not something extraordinary that you can say, well, it was advantage. The Celtics scored 10 of 29 for 3, 34.5%, and the Bucks then shooting actually more efficient for the 3, which is ridiculous. 10 of 23, 43.5%. The Bucks are more efficient than the Celtics. They scored 10 threes, same like the Celtics, and that way the Bucks neutralized the Celtics' biggest weapon in the offense. And by the way, the Celtics are top 3 team, or the first team actually, in defending the 3-point line. So they must not allow the Bucks to shoot 10 of 23, 43% for 3 the next game. So practically the Celtics don't have advantage in the 3-point line. When we talk about, the free throws advantage, 18 of 24 the Bucks, or 75%, they were shooting good, and 24 free throws, and the Celtics 25. The free throws were even. The Celtics scored 20 out of 25, 80%, and the Bucks scored 18 of 24. So the Celtics +2 advantage at the free throw line. Nothing particularly. Offensive rating was 117 Bucks and 114 the Celtics. That is good offensive rating for the both teams. And the Celtics overall played one good offensive game, Danny. But the defense was not so good, and the defense must be better. We must limit the Bucks for 95 points the next game, and we must, must defend the 3-point line better, and that is the key. Now, when we talk about the players, Al Horford was, shy, not the best, and not aggressive enough. I told with Bobby Krivitsky that the key is Al Horford to have like 24-12 game again, and he didn't have that, and the Celtics lost. He had +3, ±, 13 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Al Horford must be more aggressive. He played 37 minutes. He had great defense on the Giannis, I admit that, but he was not aggressive enough. And the players, our guards, Larkin, Tatum, Brown, and Rozier, they didn't feed enough Al Horford at the low post. That must be our go-to action, inside, outside basketball. Put the ball to Al Horford and the good things will happen. He will either get the bucket, the foul, or he will either get the skip pass and he will find the open shooter and we will get the open look out of that actions. Al Horford shot it 50% from the field and all of 1 3, that is bad. On the other side, the answers, Jaylen Brown career high, 34 points, 8 rebounds, and actually 1 assist, plus 10, the best player on the court. Brown was shooting 13 out of 23, 54%, very efficient, and he was shooting 5 of 8 for threes, 62.5%, Danny, and I was really delighted to see that. And that step back three, that step back three in the second half, that was the beauty, over Middleton, I think. So the Bucks could not stop Jaylen Brown. Middleton actually hurt Jaylen Brown. We saw some plaster at Jaylen Brown's head, and when he was asked after the practice today, what was that? He said, the Middleton hit me, there was no foul, and that led to the fast break point by Middleton. But never mind, we will live with that. Jason Tatum, 21 points. He shot it 43.8%, 2 of 5, 40% for 3. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 plus minus. Great party again in the second half. He went nuts. So practically, Danny, we had the 2 superstars here on the court, youngsters, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum scoring 55 points. And when we compared Giannis and Middleton, our fans were crying, well, they had Giannis, they had Middleton, they outscore us. Wrong. Giannis and Middleton scored 50 points, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown scored 55. They outscored them. And our starting 5 outscored the Bucks starting 5. That was actually this game, just like the game 3, the starting 5 was changed. They started Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Tyler Zeller, Malcolm Brogdon, Eric Bledsoe, Jabari Parker. So our starters outscored the Bucks starters plus 14, but the Bucks bench outscored the Celtics bench plus 14, and that was the difference. Derek here had shy game despite close to double-double, 10 points, 8 assists, but he shot it 3 of 12, which is really bad, and 2 of 10 for 3, which is 20%, and he had 8 assists and 5 rebounds plus 4, but he was bad actually. He played 36 minutes, and he shot it 25% and 20% from for 3. That is really bad. I remember, Danny, in this quarter, we were leading 12-9. The fast break opportunity, the open 3 for Rozier, brick. Another play, another chance, fast break opportunity, open 3 for Rozier, brick. So, you will ask yourself, if Rozier scored those 2 threes, it would be like 18-9 advantage to the Celtics, okay? And who knows? Maybe the game will have the different flow. This way, the Bucks made 6-0 run, took over the lead. Then they were leading 16 at the halftime. They leaded 20 in the third, where I told you the game is over. And they started to coast, They said, okay, the game is over, we will coast. But the Celtics took advantage of that approach from the Bucks. They made a run. Baines was good, 9 points, 11 rebounds, and Brown and Tatum had 34 points in the second half combined, 14 out of 22 field goal percent, which is more than 50% shooting, and we took a lead, 102-101. We had the chance when the Brown pass one and the Brown drives. Then he was stripped, and the Bucks scored the 3, and took over the lead 102-100. Danny, I thought that was the sting of the game. We have +1, we have Brown. I thought maybe it was a call, foul on Brown, Middleton, not called, and fast break 3 by Brogdon, +2 Bucks. Later, the Celtics tied 102-102 with Horford's free throws, I think, and later the last attack, Brogdon took floater. The Celtics were not able to clear the glass, and practically, Giannis Antetokounmpo keeps it in, which was the second offensive rebound of Milwaukee Bucks at the game. The second offensive rebound. And the last play, we will talk about that later. So let's stop there. Your analysis of the numbers and the starters production and the bench production.
Well, there's no question about the bench. The bench was horrendous yesterday in this situation. Unfortunately, we got to remember that the bench is a situation where we really don't have anybody on the bench right now. You know, you got two decent players on it in Morris and Monroe. Right now, you can say two veteran players, you know, and that's really it. You know, you got, you know, Shane Larkin, who's, you know, a young player. You got Semi Ojeleye in this situation, you know, but who can you really depend on other than Morris right now to really come and give you some sort of a really good performance in this case? You know, yesterday we used Yabusele, Ojeleye, Morris, Monroe, Larkin. Nader didn't play. That was a coach's decision. And, of course, Marcus Smart right now, you know, he wouldn't be – he's – his first game might be tomorrow, you know. So
I thought Danny that Monroe laid one egg. He was -8. He played 5 minutes. He could not stay on the floor, and he had 0 points, only 2 rebounds and 1 turnover.
Well, to me, I think, you know, for one, that to me goes on Brad Stevens. Play Monroe only 5 minutes, but yet you're giving Ojeleye and Yabusele combined 22 minutes in this situation.
Yep.
Now, I think one of the reasons for that is the fact that the first half, the Milwaukee Bucks were pushing the pace like crazy, and Monroe is a much more bigger, you know, heavier guy, so he really does not have what it takes to run up and down the court. And so Brad Stevens was trying to use guys that would be able to, you know, run up and down the court and try to get back on defense, because, you know, with Monroe there, you're basically going 5-on-4 on defense because of it. It's kind of like how it was with Kendrick Perkins when we had him for the Boston Celtics. Kendrick Perkins did not run back, you know, when he first was with the team. But then when Kevin Garnett, of course, showed up, Kevin Garnett kind of whooped him back into shape and, you know, made it where he realized, you better get down the court, you know, or you're going to be hearing from me, you know. So unfortunately, that's the way it was. And then, of course, in the second half, you know, we made a comeback with those guys because the Milwaukee Bucks, in my opinion, they basically took their foot off the gas pedal. It was as simple as that. And that we nearly made them pay for it. You know, unfortunately, thanks to, you know, to one, ladies and gentlemen, one simple, you know, or we can say one, you know, play in this situation, which for us went from the defense to offensive end, which Igor mentioned it. And again, we will be getting into a discussion. The NBA already came out just now while Igor was talking. The NBA came out and already ended up giving their response in regards to what happened. Igor, you said it yesterday that you said I would be waiting to see what they were going to be saying in regards to what happened during that segment, you know, and now we know that I was right in this situation. But, you know, the fact that our guys laid an egg, the whole team pretty much laid an egg in the first half.
What did they say? Can you read it, please?
The NBA basically, for any of you that basically was wondering what I was talking about or in regards to my comments, I was, you know, me and Igor have been talking about the process with the Celtics basically on the one of the baskets that was right before the last shot that the Bucks took before they made that three. The Bucks end up missing the shot. I forget who took it exactly. I think it was Middleton. But they end up taking a shot that ends up being missed. Horford ends up getting the rebound. And actually, it was Antetokounmpo. He misses a shot from close range. Horford got the rebound. Antetokounmpo tries to get the rebound, literally going from behind Horford for it. And, of course, you know, if the roles are reversed and Horford tries to jump over Antetokounmpo for a rebound like that, the foul is called immediately. But in this case, it's Antetokounmpo. The officials don't call it. And in this case, Horford gets the rebound. If a foul was called there, the Bucks, ladies and gentlemen, were in the penalty at that time. And we were up 1 point at that point. And we had only about maybe like a minute, like less than 2 minutes left to go at that time. So Horford gets the rebound. He's fouled by Antetokounmpo. No call is made. He gets the ball up to Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown goes on the attack as he's got only one man ahead of him. He's got like one or two guys just behind him. And as you mentioned, he did get stripped, but he was fouled, in our opinion, on the drive to the rim. And no call was made by the officials that were down the floor either in that situation. Jaylen Brown goes down. He does not get back up to run down the court to try and catch up. The Bucks end up going on a 5-4 break where they end up nailing a three-pointer. Yeah. They end up making the three, which goes from being down 1, they go up by 2. And like you said,
100 to 100. Not Middleton, but Brogdon three.
Yeah. So Brogdon makes the three, and unfortunately for us, the best we were able to do from that point on was tie it. But the NBA now has come out, and they've basically now announced that Antetokounmpo in the situation on the shot that basically ended up being missed. They didn't mention the foul I thought should have been called, but they did say that the Celtics should have gotten an offensive foul called against Antetokounmpo on that play. So the foul that I felt that Antetokounmpo should have had called against him for going over the back of Horford, which would have given Horford the free throws, basically isn't mentioned, but the Antetokounmpo should have gotten an offensive foul call. So the Celtics should have gotten the ball according to the NBA themselves in this situation. And then the NBA has also admitted the Bucks should have been called for a foul on Jaylen Brown's drive in the final minute. Middleton hits his arm.
He hurted him.
Exactly.
He hurted him.
So
he hurt him. See the picture. Vivid green. He has the plaster at his head,
So that's 2 calls in this situation, not the exact. So one of them, both
and
you
plus,
and me.
And plus, did you mention the foul? Did you mention the foul after that Ed Malloy, was looking at the replay? That should have been the 2 free throws also, because was trying to jump and to keep the ball in. Somebody was holding his jersey at the very last second.
Yeah, that's something that right now there hasn't been no word of, but that is something that right now is all being questioned about. In this case, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering what Igor is talking about, which is the final shot of the game, Marcus Morris, in this case, was trying to make a pass to Terry Rozier, and Terry Rozier was intercepted by one of the Milwaukee Bucks players. I believe it was Brogdon who cut him off, which is why Morris had no choice but to take the shot in this situation. And he was hit on the arm while taking it, which threw off the shot, and the officials did not call the foul. However, they ended up blowing the whistle finally after the buzzer went off, and they decided to view the replay, which kind of made everybody a little confused, wondering what was kind of going on. Were they actually going to call it or not? They went to look at the replay and finally decided to call the game over. So the Celtics ended up walking off the court, and a few people were kind of wondering, why even stop the players from getting off the court and going to their locker room if you're not going to call the foul. For that, let the players go. Don't give the Celtics any hope that you're actually going to call it, knowing that you already missed In this case, now we know it's not one, it's not two, it's 3 separate calls you could have called against the Bucks in that one segment of the game in this situation that could have gone the Boston Celtics way, and you ended up letting the Bucks off on all 3. And think about it, Igor. That's 2 games in this situation. If you look at games 3 and 4, game 3, of course, we know the Celtics they got whooped. We can't blame the officiating for what happened in game 3, but we do know in this case in game 3, the first quarter, the Celtics got a lot of calls going their way, but the Bucks were playing super physical. They were doing a lot of bumping, a lot of shoving, really trying to get, tough with the Celtics. So, of course, there's going to be a lot of calls being made because the officials were trying to make sure things did not get out of hand in this case. Yeah. But in yesterday's game, come on. I know Antetokounmpo is a superstar in this league and all of that, but you cannot allow him to get away with not 1 but 2 fouls on the same possession within the span of a few seconds, all because the Bucks end up blowing a double-digit lead in the second half and are about to go down 3-1 because of it. Yesterday was a bad day overall for the NBA officiating when it comes, in this case, to the Eastern Conference games, especially when it came to the game for us and the Bucks and the game between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. And I can't wait to see.
Also the Wizards were robbed.
And the Wizards, but at least when it came to the Wizards and Raptors game, that game was won by a bigger margin of points in this situation, where the Raptors cannot blame the officiating, that they screwed us in this case. But the Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics both now have a gripe, a reason to basically blame the officiating because of the few calls that were made down the stretch that ended up giving LeBron and the Cavs, and in this case, the Milwaukee Bucks, the victories over us and Indiana.
And let us talk a little about the last play and some of my notes. Marcus Morris was fined again, $15,000 for commenting the series, and he was not happy. The coach from Marcus Morris, he got the 6th technical foul since the last week of the season. 2 plus $15,000 fine in the series, and he's not happy. He said the last night, and that is why he was fined again today. I'm not going at the referees. I'm not talking crazy. I'm not swearing, cursing. It's just getting old. Fining me, taking me, it's getting old, it's laughable. He said, for me, man, it's just getting old. Game in and game out, it's the same thing. I'm not doing a lot of chit-chat. I'm being physical, and I'm watching these other playoff games, and they are not getting warnings. For me, it's just quick technical foul. It's just quick whistle. Jaylen Brown said the Celtics expected Milwaukee to front Marcus Morris on the final post play, and he said they didn't, but we still got the great look. And that is just the shoot that Mook made 10 of 10 times. It just didn't go in. I totally agree. I said the same after game with you guys, Danny, in the chat. By the way, please publish that official report in our page so that everybody knows that we were right and that the Celtics were robbed. By the way, I was looking locked on the Bucks, and they were saying that Bucks were robbed because they didn't call the 3 whistles in the 4th quarter for the Bucks, which is ridiculous. But now we can officially prove that we were robbed, but by the 3 non-calls for the Celtics. So that last play, it was perfect 2-and-1 execution. They run some fake dribble handoffs to get Al Horford ISO against the Thon Maker. But the assistant coach of the Bucks, if you noticed before, the ball was in the game. He changed the position of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Jabari Parker. Why? Because it was the switch when the ball was on the air, not touched the hand of Marcus Morris. The ball was supposed, Daniel, to come to the hands of Jaylen Brown. But they switched. They switched at the top. And the Bucks, they changed the positions of Jabari Parker and Giannis Antetokounmpo. On the first switch, Jabari stayed with Al and Giannis switched on Brown. That way, he eliminated the possibility Brown to get the ball. You know, and other thing is the Parker stayed, you know, with Horford, and he took over the screen, and the Celtics could not get the ball to their guards. That was good read and a good defensive possession for the Bucks. Also, in that very play, you know, that play was designed, Stevens explained, to get Rozier the open look, to get the near kick out. If the Bucks didn't switch the out screen, but they switched the out screen with Parker and Giannis, as I explained. Also, Malcolm Brogdon, who was up at the top with Rozier, if you look the last play, you know, he didn't buy that Morris ball, you know, and he didn't come to help Morris. If Brogdon buy the hook, and if he double Morris down the low, Morris would kick the ball to open the Rozier, and we would have the open three. Okay? This is the typical Brad Atto after timeout play. He did it with the Isaiah Thomas and Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley many times, and Avery Bradley drained many threes out of that play. So Morris read the play correctly. Okay? So if you are confused by what Stevens meant when he said Morris made the right read, look at the top of the screen. Play was the setup for Rozier to get three. If the Brogdon double, when he didn't double, Mook made the right read to get his own shot. Kudos to Middleton defense. And that was the last play. Do you have something to comment?
Well, like you said, you got to give these guys from Milwaukee credit. You know, again, they were in a desperate mode in both games 3 and 4 because we know the history for teams going down 3-0 or 3-1. It's not great, and they know technically, you know, that they would have to win at least once in Boston in order to win this series as it was because of the fact that they didn't beat us in games 1 or 2. If we would have won either one of those games, they would not have to beat us twice in Boston, and the chances of that happening were slim to none in this situation because our guys have proven that just like their guys, we're different in Boston, some of our role players, than they are on the road. Heck, look at Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier is playing a starter's role, and look at the way he played in Boston compared to the way he did it in games, 3 and 4. Like I said, so that was a smart move on Middleton's part to cut off Rozier in this situation to make it where Morris basically couldn't get the ball to him for a clean look in this situation. Our guys, in my opinion, even though we ended up taking the lead in this situation late in that game basically we should have never been in that predicament where we had to fight to come all the way back from such a big deficit. I said it after game 3 if we wanted to have any chance to really win that game, you needed to keep up with Milwaukee the entire game and not get so far down, letting them get so much momentum like you did in Game 3. And that's exactly what happened. Our guys ended up, for the first few minutes, we had the momentum. We were crashing the boards, getting a ton of offensive rebounds, things like that. And next thing you know, we lose the momentum, and we end up going down big time. All the momentum is with them. They're getting all the dunks, all the threes, and we end up going down by double digits. And it took us all the way to the fourth quarter, for us to really get back into it. And again, you really didn't get much from Rozier. Al Horford was the one that really kept you in that game in the first half, along with Jaylen Brown, until,
he was not aggressive enough.
Exactly.
He was not aggressive.
He didn't really have a good game scoring-wise, but he was aggressive enough and kept Antetokounmpo kind of in check in order to actually keep you in the game where it didn't go to like a 20-point deficit or something like that. So you were at least close enough at halftime to where you knew there was still a chance at least. You had a feeling that there was still a chance knowing it was Milwaukee and not a Houston or a Golden State type team you was facing in this situation. So, but you cannot afford for that to happen tomorrow night in Game 5 back here in Boston. Our guys have to bring their A game. Terry Rozier has to be making shots from the get-go. All our guys have to make sure they're playing their best game from tip-off because, again, momentum now is with Milwaukee. You go the route of playing in the first quarter like you did in Games 3 and 4, you could very well end up seeing yourself having to come from a major comeback. And, again, you may be in Boston where the calls will go your way this time, and they should go your way because you're the home team, unlike the way it was in Games 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But you cannot keep banking that Milwaukee is going to keep screwing up in this situation and taking their foot off the gas pedal like they did in Game 4.
Let me read my notes and the critiques to Brad Stevens, and then we will wrap up. At the end of the show, Danny, please play that video of Brad Stevens explaining, or audio actually, Brad Stevens explaining the last possession of Boston. I mean, practically that last play. Jaylen Brown is 23.8 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game, 1.8 assists per game, on 51.4, 46.4, and 75 splits. The team has plus minus of 8.5 when he's on the floor. Also, most combined points in playoff games by the teammates under 22 years old. 2020, Durant and Westbrook 56, Oklahoma. 2018, Brown and Tatum 55, Boston. And 2010, Durant and Westbrook 51. The future is bright. We mentioned the future. Imagine, Danny, the next year. The starting lineup. Irving, Brown, Tatum, Hayward, Baines. And imagine the bench. Smart, Rozier, Morris, Horford, Tice. With Hayward showing some cameo as creator. That is just not crazy. That is very, very possible. At 199, the Celtics captured the first lead since the third minute mark when they leaded 14 and 13. It was in the last minute. In the second half, like I said, Brown and Tatum combined 14 out of 22, overall 5 of 9 for threes, and 4 of 4 from the line, combining 37 points in the second half. The positive sides of this game is Smart will return maybe game 5 tomorrow, and he will certainly play the game 6 and 7. We make comeback out of 20 points deficit, and we had lead 1 point, that is 21 point swing. This is positive. Brown and Tatum 55 points. Number 3 positives. Can Bucks translate energy from Milwaukee to Boston? I doubt. They didn't do it the whole season. We will see. The Celtics lost the game also, but they figure out some very important adjustments, Daniel, for the rest of the series. Number 1, Semi Ojeleye is the adjustment when Thon Maker checks in. So that is why Ojule played 17 minutes. Ojule is taking off Thon Maker's threes and Thon Maker's physicality because Thon Maker cannot do anything to Semi Ojule. He is steady as a rock. Number 2, adjustment. When Matthew Dellavedova checks in to harass 1-by-1 Terry Rozier, just let Al Horford bring the ball up. It is working. So don't do anything bad. On the flip side, again, like I said, Danny, I really wonder in the first 30 minutes of the Celtics game, what happened? That collapse. Did the team quit on Stevens' instructions? Or Stevens didn't do adjustments such as Al Horford at point guard and Ojule at maker? This is the great knowledge to Stevens for the game 5, 6, and potentially 7. Now, the comments at the halftime. You know, I was not following the logic, Danny, in the Brad Stevens lineups at the halftime. You know, you bring back the starting lineup is Rozier, Brown, Tatum, Horford, Baines. You sub in the backups. You then bring back Tatum, and then with the second unit, Larkin, Morris, pick and roll actions. This is some kind of steady diet in your offense. This is not good. Larkin, Rozier lineups later in the second half, that was disaster total. I'm not an NBA coach, but the Celtics have experienced letting guys like Horford, Tatum, Brown to bring the ball up. So I feel like I like the option, Horford, Tatum, Brown as my secondary playmakers. That is the better option. You don't have to play both freaking Larkin and Rozier because it is taking over the good options in your offense. I do not follow the logic here. And I do not agree with the logic that you have to match up a big guy on Thon Maker, like Morris or Baines. I preferred the Ojule, and I was right at the halftime, Ojule stopped Maker. And I cannot, I said I want to see the last 2 minutes officiating report. You said it, Danny, we were wrong. And finally, I want the Celtics to advance solely because I want Brown, Tatum, and Rozier to have 6-7 games with Philly and 6-7 games with Milwaukee. It's the great training. The guys will be great. So the Celtics team, this Celtics team has the guts, has the leadership, but it also has high variance and limit on how many looks it can throw at the Bucks. It's all balanced out over 4 games now. We have seen the best and the worst in the offense, and ups and downs, and the small and the big ball. The 3 keys I had for the Celtics for the rest of the series on the point guard show today is, number 1 again, Stevens, if you look, plays more Horford on the freaking ball when Dellavedova is in. More Ojule Tatum lineups in the small ball. More Ojule Tatum lineups in the small ball. No Larkin Rozier combinations. And about Greg Monroe, if he cannot stay on the floor because of scoring of the second unit of Milwaukee, then no more major minutes. But I think we need Monroe scoring in the game 5. Now, another informations and the last one. The lineup of Rozier, Brown, Ojule, Tatum, Horford, they were plus 48.7 net rating in the 11 minutes today. The Celtics might found the great combination against Milwaukee Bucks, Thon Maker, Brogdon, Middleton combinations. So, Rozier, Brown, Ojule, Tatum, Horford, plus 48.7 net rating in 11 minutes. So, don't be smart, Stevens. Just run the right adjustments, and just run what is working. And I think that Stevens and his staff saw what is working. I made my points. Final comments, Daniel?
Well, that's interesting in regards to what those lineups, those numbers you just brought up, and again, I expect us to win tomorrow night here in Boston. Again, I don't know what it is when it comes to role players that at home they look like, they have a kick like somebody gave them a kick in the rear. They got the gas tank on full. They're going 120 miles per hour, and then on the road they look like their gas tank is on E. Their car is broke down. They got no wheels. They can't move. So this team basically has to really, make sure that they get, something done tomorrow and get the victory. Because again, Marcus Smart, if he does play tomorrow, I think it's a lock that you win this series in 6. If he doesn't play, then tomorrow, in my opinion, is a must-win, because I do not think that this team, if he doesn't play in Game 6 for whatever reason, is going to be able to win without him in this case. Marcus Smart playing with this team in Game 6 does give this team a chance to take it on the road. That's the only way I give this team a chance to win in Milwaukee, unless somehow these guys have learned their lesson in Games 3 and 4, that they've somehow decided to overcome their fear of the road in this situation, but I think that they can take something out of what happened yesterday. I hope the officials got to read what the NBA put up today in regards to what happened late in that game yesterday, and realize that this team really should be up 3-1 and not tied 2-2, and that it's really because of those officials yesterday in Game 4 that the Milwaukee Bucks are even tied with us right now, because they missed, again, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 calls in the final, final 2 minutes technically, that all went Milwaukee's way. You better not think about going the route, because even in Games 1 and 2, Igor, we saw Antetokounmpo getting the superstar treatment. You better not think of going the route. Whoever the officiating crew is, I am telling you, you better not think of going and giving Antetokounmpo a superstar LeBron-type treatment tomorrow in that game here in Boston. Because I am going to tell you, the Boston fans are going to let you hear it. Think about it. The Indy fans did it to the officiating crew last night out in Indy. Boston fans are just as likely to do it, and they might even get worse after now that the NBA came out and admitted it, that those officials pretty much messed up and cost Boston a game that they pretty much should have won yesterday in a series that we know, unlike Indy, that nobody thinks Indy should be winning. This is a series that we can and should win, basically, and the only reason you are even in this position, again, is because you're missing so many key guys, and because the officiating has been, for the most part, going in Milwaukee's favor, because they got the superstar, the top superstar in the series in this case. So, Brad Stevens, you got some things you're going to have to work out prior to tomorrow. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we will keep you informed on whatever happens with Marcus Smart tomorrow prior to the game. Hopefully we do get some good news and that he will be able to play tomorrow, because that is just going to energize the building and energize the rest of the team. And I know that will make it where some of these younger players will play their best game if he does return and the place is on fire.
Okay, that's all. Guys, follow us at Celtics Talk Radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow our page at blogtalkradio.com. Subscribe to YouTube channel. You will get the 30 live post-game chats, including this one, number 30. Recap of the game number 4, the first round series between Boston Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee Bucks defeated Celtics in Wisconsin 104. 102. Tomorrow game is in Boston, 7 p.m. Eastern. We may see Marcus Smart. Follow us at Vivid Green Celtics Fans Forum. We will inform you is the Smart clear to play and when he's going to play. Also, you can find the official report from Tom Westerholm from masslive.com posted that. It is pinned, so you can read at piece how the officials screwed the Celtics in the game number 4. That's all. The next show, Daniel, is on program Wednesday, 25th April, 7 p.m. Eastern, at blogtalkradio.com, and our page is Celtics on Twitter. You can find the link for listening live or on demand. And that's all from Danny and me. Root for the Celtics tomorrow and follow us at our pages. We are Celtics Talk Radio, Danny and Igor. We're wishing you good night. And right now, Danny will play you the Brad Stevens about the last play. That's all. Have a good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here you are.
Brad Rob, Boston Sportional. Brad, the final play call there for you, was Rozier coming off for a 3-and option there? Was that just, Marcus kind of reading it?
Yeah, that was something that, he did a great job cutting, misdirecting, he lost his guy. Brogdon jumped out and switched. Morris read it right. And, Morris got up a really good look. Feel really good about that with 5 seconds left in the game. They do so much switching. I thought that our guys, the goal of that is to get both guys on one side. And Brogdon did a good job staying under Al. But then you always have the option of going one-on-one there on the other side with nobody there, which is, not the worst thing in the world either.
Brad, you guys got stopped with about 35 seconds left, decided to push it. What's the balance there between being aggressive in transition?
55 seconds left?
45, 35.
45. I think it was a little bit above that. I think you have to attack in transition. I think that ultimately, how many teams you see just hold it? You got a 1-point lead, and then you bleed the clock down and get a terrible shot. I'm all for attacking up the court. There's so many possessions still left. There were 5 possessions left in that game anyways. And, just didn't go our way. But I like that attack. If we lay it up, it's the greatest decision in the world, and I think that that's sometimes is the way you play. I want our guys to play free. I want our guys to attack. And if you have that mentality inside a minute, I think that's a good thing.
Brad, Jalen really carried you in that second half, and just what was his effort like today? Is it one of his best performances ever?
Well, he's the only reason we were in the game in the first. I thought he was great in the first. And then in the second, he just continued it. Did a great job. Played with tremendous spirit, with tremendous toughness, and made shots, kept us in it.
Brad, Gary Washington, Boston Globe. Why the 20-point deficit? What didn't you guys do in the first 2.5 quarters? And then how tough is it when you do everything right and then Giannis seems to make up for any mistake that they made, tip-ins?
Well, we played great in the second half. We played great in the first 6 minutes of the game, and 18 minutes that ended the first half were not good. And they had a lot to do with that. Again, Maker came in and made a huge difference in this game. And I thought that we were so much better after the break. Even when they made those first few shots, I thought we were doing what we had kind of set out to do.
Steve Bell, Pat Boston, kind of following up on Garrett's question. In the last game here, you guys were talking about how you guys were driving into traffic, and it seemed to be a little bit more of that again in that stretch, that 18-minute stretch. How do you guys get away from that, or is it just maybe human nature?
Yeah, I think you have to play with tremendous poise, and it takes a ton of ability to bounce back and win the next possession and focus on that next possession. But I thought they got us off kilter, and we just started again trying to swing for the fences. We did a great job of not doing that in the second half, though.
Coach, Mark D'Amico, Celtics.com. Chevy Ojale checks in and plays 17 minutes. Not a lot in the box score, but what did you see that he brought to the team tonight?
Switchability and guarding Giannis.
Just to follow up, you went to Al Horford bringing the ball up during the second half. What went into that decision?
I think just a couple of times, right? So it was just an action we run.
Brad, Nick Friedel, ESPN.com. You've been very complimentary of Giannis throughout the series. What's it like trying to account for him late in games in the final minutes?
Well, he made a great tip in. And he was battling for the ball, and our guys were battling for the ball, and that's what great players do. And I thought for the most part we did a decent job on him. probably better than we have in every other game, and he still goes 12 for 20. But we were better on Middleton. I thought we did a decent job on Giannis, and we played the way that we want to play in the second half.
Coach Gabe Stoltz, BrewHoop.com. Do you think you guys were able to find more success on the offensive side of the ball when Bledsoe was in compared to Dellavedova, especially later on in the game?
They're both really good players.
Coach Amanda Fluker at Celtics.com. With this series now tied, what have you said or what will you say to the team before Game 5?
That's what it's all about. It's fun. This is a really talented team we're playing. We didn't mistake that when we were up 2-0. I mean, we had to work hard and play tremendous to get that 2-0 lead. So we played really well tonight. There's certain things we can build off of. There's certain things we have to avoid. We can't have those first half doldrums that we've had the last 2 games. But at the end of the day, they had a lot to do with it, and they deserve credit for that.